Welcome to today's Energy Central webcast entitled, How Advancements in Demand Response Technologies Can Benefit Public Power Utilities. A few housekeeping notes we'd like to mention. For best results in viewing the presentation, we recommend using a wired high-speed internet connection, as wireless connections can be unpredictable. If you cannot get adequate sound from your computer speakers, you may dial into the audio portion using the telephone number listed in the right-hand panel of your interface under the audio section. Following the presentation, we'll have a question and answer period. You may submit your questions at any time using the interface on your screen. I'm happy to introduce today's speakers. On the floor today, we have with us Cody Chambers, Director, Technical Sales, and Steve Gore, Director, Architecture. I'm now happy to turn the floor over to our first speaker, Cody Chambers. Cody, welcome to the event. You have the floor.
Thank you very much. Hello, everyone. And this is Cody Chambers, the Director of Technical Sales for Converge. My day-to-day role is primarily to help utilities build and design programs specific to their needs for demand response. I want to start by doing an overview of Converge and looking at the solutions that we can bring to the public power sector. Before I get started with that, I do want to say that Converge is in the process of being acquired by Itron. And what this means is the acquisition combines a world leader in gas, water, electricity, and smart city solutions with a longtime market leader of demand response, expanding the scope of smart grid offerings for the industry. We're very excited to start working with the Itron team once the acquisition closes. So now, on to the Converge overview. The solutions that we bring, Converge offers us a comprehensive solution for device-based demand response products and services for electric utilities. We believe that you can have grid reliability and lower energy costs using the energy that already exists. And since those devices for demand response also provide telemetry data about the customer use of major appliances, our software can also collect metering data, perform analytics from the multiple data points, and present that data in a meaningful way to customers that includes tips to inspire customers to use electricity more efficiently. Our software also enables utilities to deepen customer engagement by adding integrated energy efficiency capabilities to demand response programs by providing effective tools direct to customers. We believe that device-based demand response is a distributed energy resource. Solar, battery, storage, wind, other resources make up a growing portion of the overall fuel mix and will need to be managed as part of the whole solution to provide the best results for electric utilities. Converge by the numbers. And I've presented this slide several times and typically just read the numbers, and they're very impressive. But I want to take a look and explore just a little bit what's behind these numbers. And if you think about 2 million enrollments and what's required in that, the marketing, the web development, the call centers, all the things behind 2 million enrollments, it actually becomes more impressive. And then when you look at 3 million devices installed, I mean, we had to put people in trucks, we had to route those trucks, we had to do customer interactions, we had to get all of that installed. And when you start looking at it in that way, it becomes more impressive. And I really am glad that I've been a part of that here at Converge. We have right now 100 plus active utility customers. The bottom of the slide shows a sample of our municipal and cooperative clients. This is customers that have our products that we work with day in and day out to make those programs successful. So the drivers for demand response. And as we look at this, the electric cooperatives and the municipal power companies, we see a lot of similarities. And we can really sum this up by they all want to provide reliable power at the lowest possible cost. They want to engage their customers while preserving the environment. We have a customer, an electric cooperative customer that uses our platform to reduce demand using agricultural pumps. The events are automatically triggered by their SCADA system, so they have automated control events. And they have started this program with paging devices, and now they're upgrading those to two-way devices because they understand they'll be more effective for understanding what's available at any time for dispatch, to be able to reduce maintenance time by targeting problems instead of looking for problems. In the paging world, many times you have to look for the problems because you don't know that they're there. And they'll increase communication coverage by using cellular devices, and they'll understand the reduction at each location through the telemetry data provided by the device. And overall, they see this as a much more economically favorable program long term. What's changing? So what are the demand response trends? On this slide, we show two-way communications at the top, and that probably is the biggest trend that we see. Customer engagement has become a key focus of most utilities around the country, to understand their customer better and to engage them and to bring them into more of a team environment. Time varying rates through time of use, critical peak price, critical peak rebate, peak demand charges, things like that. We're seeing more and more of that interest in that every day. Distributed energy resources, like I said before, is something that is talked about more and more every day, and everybody understands that they must be managed as part of the whole to be really effective. Cybersecurity is another piece of the equation that we hear more and more about attacks, and everybody wants to keep their data and their databases secure, and we are absolutely involved every day in trying to make sure that everything is secure as possible. The connected home, right now today, that's mostly programs like Bring Your Own Device that can really lower the upfront capital investment required to do demand response, and they're actually a great addition to any portfolio of products for demand response. So we did a survey recently in the public power segment, and we had 85 respondents that came back, and 72% of them, the respondents, said that they are contemplating a technology upgrade. And the high percentage of respondents that are contemplating the technology upgrade is encouraging to us, and it motivates me personally to assist those member cooperatives and municipals to find the specific program design that works best for each individual public power provider. So, some of the survey questions we asked, what are the drivers for upgrading technology for demand response program? The biggest driver, almost 70% of the respondents said they were interested in two-way communications. Just under 25% was interested in Bring Your Own Device. About 18% was interested in cybersecurity. Just over 40% adding integrated energy efficiency capabilities, and just right at 30% existing platform is no longer supported. So to talk more about the benefits of investing in each of these areas is Steve Gore.
Thank you, Cody. Good morning, everyone. My name is Steve Gore, Director of Technology Architecture at Converge. As Cody said, we're going to dive into those different drivers behind technology upgrades for demand response programs. So the first area that we're going to look at are some of the benefits of two-way communicating devices. The first part of those benefits involve the actual forecasting and execution of demand response events. So using two-way data from devices, utilities can get a much clearer and more accurate picture of what demand response resources they have available to them in what specific locations and at what specific times. This data can be combined with other forecasts of system peaks, coincident charges, even neighboring utilities, to allow a utility to determine the optimum times to call the correct set of demand response assets. This can allow a utility to achieve the same or greater reduction in their demand charges while issuing fewer demand response events and increasing the overall customer satisfaction that is part of their program. As Cody mentioned, one of our customers uses load control devices on their agricultural pumps, and they are switching to two-way devices precisely so that they can understand this forecast better, and they can use that data to better plan and manage their energy usage. Next slide, please. Two-way devices can also reduce the operational costs of a demand response program. In a program with one-way devices, it is very common for us to see an attempt to inspect every device, say, every 5 years. So every year, utilities are rolling a truck to visit 20% of the devices that they have already installed to ensure that those devices are continuing to operate. Certainly, when those devices are installed, they can be tested to ensure operation, but things like new construction, weather patterns, even the foliage and the trees that are around them can impact those paging signals. In a one-way program, a utility doesn't know the impacts of those and is not sure which of their assets are functioning and are not functioning. With a two-way program, utilities are able to tell in real time which devices are no longer communicating and would not be participating in a demand response event. The utilities can then target corrective actions just at those devices that need them and reduce the overall cost of truck rolls to inspect equipment that is operating properly. The data from two-way devices can also be used to determine if they are still properly connected to the equipment that they are controlling. Next slide, please. A third benefit of two-way communications is using the data from all of the devices in the field to contribute to the measurement and verification process. This data can be used to provide a more accurate measurement and verification result, and can also be fed into our forecasting algorithms to continue to improve our knowledge of what the devices in the field can provide. This can be done without additional costs of traditional expensive M&V equipment, and again, can look at the overall population, or can be used to look at specific populations, say in particularly overused areas. Next slide, please. In addition to two-way communications, advancements in DR technology can provide opportunities for customer engagement and integrating energy efficiency into demand response programs. Both of these are enabled through customer-facing portals that can be deployed either on a website or a mobile application. These portals can be branded with the utility brand, can be used to promote the utility, and not just the utility's demand response program, but any program that the utility or even the larger municipal government is looking to promote. These devices obviously allow customers to interact with their two-way communicating devices, their thermostats, or in some cases load control devices. And they also allow the customers to receive targeted, timely, and actionable energy savings tips or information about other programs that are available to them. Next slide, please. A third driver behind advancements in DR technology and upgrades in that technology is the trend of bring your own device. These programs allow end customers to enroll thermostats that they have already purchased into a utility demand response program. This can reduce the upfront costs involved in a demand response program and make the overall program more cost effective. But it also offers customers a broader range of choices so that if they are interested in participating in a demand response program, they're no longer limited to a single thermostat or a single load control switch. They can use a variety of different thermostats of their choosing and still be able to participate in a utility's demand response program. In addition to that participation, these programs can still offer that same utility-branded customer engagement portal and still allow utilities to provide their customers with energy-saving tips and notifications. Next slide, please. The last two drivers that we heard from our survey were an upgrade to a modern platform and increases in cybersecurity. So by upgrading to a modern platform, utilities are able to experience faster implementation and upgrade timelines. They're able to utilize new functionality that is specifically designed to be integrated with newer utility back-end systems. And these more modern platforms are easily adopted by new employees in a changing workforce. Cybersecurity is obviously at the top of mind for every executive, every IT professional. And I think it's very interesting that the cybersecurity attacks of the last 2 weeks, the attacks that targeted the NHS in England and tens of thousands of sites across the world, were all targeted to older, unpatched operating systems. So by using a more modern platform that uses a modern operating system that is kept patched, those systems would not have been vulnerable to the attacks of the previous weeks. In addition to security mitigations provided by the underlying operating systems, newer demand response technologies and newer platforms can provide compliance with advanced security requirements, things like multi-factor authentication, adaptive and learning firewalls, and integration with security incident and event management systems. Many of these newer demand response platforms offer both on-premise and vendor-hosted options for deployments. Next slide, please. So we're going to shift gears slightly and move from talking about the overall trends in the marketplace and the drivers behind those to Converge's product IntelliSource, and particularly IntelliSource Express, which is our offering for the public power marketplace. Next slide, please. So IntelliSource Express is a pre-configured solution. That pre-configuration allows for a much faster deployment at a much lower deployment cost. IntelliSource Express supports the most common demand response program types, along with the most common cycling strategies and seasonal participation options. And IntelliSource Express also supports integrations with existing systems used by public power utilities, including OpenADR, multi-speak, and SCADA systems. Next slide, please. In addition to the pre-configuration and ease of deployment, IntelliSource Express is built on modern technology. So as we discussed, that provides a strong foundation for growth. It is easy to understand and learn. It is continually tested and certified by a third party against cybersecurity threats. And it is available as either a hosted by Converge or an on-premise hosted by the utility solution. And IntelliSource Express, being built from the IntelliSource platform, provides all of the latest technology for a demand response program. So IntelliSource Express allows for two-way communicating devices, both those that are directly installed by a utility and BYOD devices that are purchased by a consumer and then enrolled in a program. IntelliSource Express offers a consumer engagement portal along with energy efficiency tips and options. And that portal can also be used to implement innovative pricing-based programs. IntelliSource Express will be continually updated and is the foundation for the emerging connected home market, and also for the new distributed energy resources that already are out there and will be coming in larger and larger numbers in the coming months and years. So now let me turn it back over to Cody to go through some questions that we have received.
Okay, thanks, Steve. First question is, how do you control cybersecurity when integrating mobile devices for viewing or interacting with the grid? Steve?
Yeah, sure. So, I think when we talk about mobile devices, the same thing applies for laptops and desktops, and a proliferation of people who are accessing these systems that then impact the grid. So at Converge, we take a defense in depth strategy, meaning we use multiple mitigations or multiple security functionality to try to mitigate attacks. So at the highest application level, we encrypt all of the traffic as it moves from those mobile devices through the networks and into our servers. Our applications implement role-based security as well as segmentation between different customers and different role functions. And then that translates through to our network, which uses a variety of firewalls and security threat detection and mitigation software, and flows all the way down to our physical security protocols around our data center, access to the physical computers and networking equipment that is installed there.
Okay, great. Thanks, Steve. We have another question that just came in for you. And the question is your system SOC 2 compliant?
Yeah, so we go through a SOC audit every year for our system, as well as the broader data center hosting solution and the processes that we have. We are compliant. We go through that audit every year and can provide those audit results to our customers.
Okay, great. We have another question that came in. What are the additional business case drivers beyond avoided demand charges from wholesale power providers? I'll take that question. As we've seen through the presentation, the additional business case drivers are deepening the engagement with your customers, avoiding or deferring infrastructure costs through locational or targeted area demand programs. And I will also say that those targeted demand response programs have a very comprehensive or compelling economics. So that can be very beneficial. And the opportunity for effective energy efficiency programs. Device-based gives you a good platform for energy efficiency. Okay. We have another question. What do you believe the best practice is for calculating the avoided cost to set the incentive levels? I'll take this one. So incentive levels are typically set by the amount of penetration needed in specific market segments, like air conditioning. So the penetration level is based on the desired or required load reduction for that market segment. The higher penetration needed equates to higher incentives. The rate of rise for penetration and incentive is not really linear, and truthfully requires quite a bit of skill and experience to get the right balance. And I know that was an indirect answer, but incentive levels are really part of the whole program design and part of that whole avoided cost equation. It must be based on the program goals, and so there's not really a good calculation for incentives directly to avoided cost. Okay, Steve, we have another question from the group that I would like for you to answer, please. What is the state of open interoperable communication? Which protocol to support DR in multi-vendor, multi-purpose environments?
Yeah, that's a great question. Certainly, probably the prominent open interoperable protocol today with regards to demand response is the OpenADR protocol. It has been developed really to address automation in the commercial and industrial sectors, and it's something that does very well. Can communicate with a variety of different building energy management systems, or they're termed virtual end nodes in the OpenADR protocol, to issue and notify them of demand response programs. We do have a municipal that we work with that is using OpenADR today to notify their larger commercial and industrial customers of demand response events. For people who've been in this industry for a while, these OpenADR integrations are replacing the light bulb that used to turn on in a building manager's office, or even the siren in some places that used to go off. So OpenADR is, again, that prominent protocol. What we found is that it is very applicable and is being used well in that commercial and industrial space. In the residential space, there is limited support for that. So we find that the bring your own thermostat vendors that we are working with and the distributed energy resource providers that we are working with, the storage companies or the grid interactive water heater companies, are really providing their own specific proprietary protocols for interacting with their devices. And I think that's an area that a demand response management system like IntelliSource Express can really come into play and help manage that complexity of integrating with 2, 3, 10 different vendors and the different protocols that they are implementing.
Okay, thanks, Steve. Another question from the audience for you. What functionality does the mobile access provide customers?
Sure. So IntelliSource Customer is our consumer engagement portal, and it provides a range of different functionality based on the program design that each utility is implementing. At really kind of the foundational level, that tool allows consumers to interact with their thermostat. So all of the thermostat interactions you would expect to be able to have. You can see the temperature, set a hold, move it from heat to cool, change the program that the thermostat is running, set a vacation hold if you're leaving town. Again, standard thermostat interaction capabilities. If you're in a program that is using it's a pricing-based program, the IntelliSource Customer allows you to see those different prices as you program your thermostat, and also program your thermostat directly to respond to changes in prices. So if there is a peak time rebate or a critical peak component, that can be managed from the customer portal. We also provide what we've termed auto energy efficiency, or ways to take a thermostat that does not have built into the physical thermostat learning capabilities and all of the occupancy sensors, and provide similar types of functionality through the mobile applications, and using geofencing combined with understanding of a customer's schedule to automatically optimize a customer's program that runs on their thermostat, and also to effectively balance that optimization with the with any demand response events that are being called. As we talked about in the presentation, the consumer engagement portal or mobile apps allow customers to receive information from their utility. So it can be notifications that a demand response event is about to occur. It can be tips asking customers to adjust the temperature on their water heater. They can be cross-promotional, so suggesting that customers participate in a home energy checkup or an appliance recycling program. And the thermostat portal also allows us to provide normative comparisons of energy usage. So how does this customer's usage of electricity compare to people in similar homes? Are they average? Are they efficient? Are they somewhere in between that, as well as kind of understand what that comparison means, who they're being compared to, and see a history of their energy usage. All of that functionality is, again, branded to look and feel exactly like the utility's customer experience, so that it is promoting that utility brand.
Okay, thanks, Steve. That was a great answer. So another question for you. Would like for you to answer this. What are the sources of data for demand forecast?
Sure. So, I think that there are two primary sources, right? One are the two-way communicating devices, and then the second is really the weather. And, kind of inherent in both of those is the time and day of the week and the month. Going a level further than that, from the device side, the type of information that we are looking at is the device currently online and communicating? That is a very good indicator of whether we will be getting load from it. And then what is the previous runtime of that device and that equipment in similar conditions? Weather, certainly we look at temperature. We also look at temperature over the last handful of hours, as that is a strong driver of how much latent heat or I suppose cool is built up. And a number of other weather factors, right? Humidity plays a role. The cloud cover or solar radiance plays a role. And one of the neat things that I found working with Converge is that we have a team of data scientists who look at all of this data and run countless experiments to determine exactly what are the right features, right, the right data points to be looking at and how to be incorporating them into models. And they've published a number of blogs that kind of discuss their work, and are continuing to refine and build and grow those models. We certainly can also take in data from interval meters. So if that is something that has been deployed in a territory, we can use that to better enhance our models, but it's not necessary for the forecasting. We can also use data that's been collected when devices were installed, or we can use sampling methodologies to get the kilowatt usage that's there. So we have a number of different tools that we can employ based on the technology that each utility has.
Okay. Thanks, Steve. We have another question. What functionality? No. Sorry. No, I'm going to do number. I've done that one already. So, question: do you envision your product residing inside an ADMS or a DERMS system, or as a standalone operations platform?
I think the answer to that question is yes. So we want IntelliSource to be a platform that works incredibly well with other utility systems. So we absolutely see ourselves integrating with an ADMS, and particularly as we talk about that targeted and locational dispatch and being able to do that in real time. I think that that's a great use case for an ADMS integration. I think as far as a DERMS goes, we can integrate with a standalone DERMS system, just like IntelliSource can integrate with a different load management system. I think we also see IntelliSource being able to provide many of the capabilities of a DERMS and being able to integrate and control the those types of resources, right? Cody, I think you said this well when you said, hey, the thermostat is really the first of the distributed energy resources. Maybe it's the second. Maybe the load control switch was the first of the distributed energy resources. So yes, we absolutely see ourselves integrating with those different systems, along with probably the 10 other systems that we integrate with today. But we also see that not every utility is going to have an ADMS in the near term, or maybe even in the medium to long term. So we want to be able to still provide advanced intelligent functionality within the IntelliSource platform as a standalone tool for utilities.
Okay, great. One more question for you, Steve. Can you explain the difference between the Converge hosted system versus the on-premise solution?
Sure. So the Converge hosted solution means that our software runs within our data center and is accessed by the utility personnel or the utility's customers over the web through any browser. We can add security around that, like VPNs as well, to increase the security there. But in that model, Converge not only maintains the software, but also maintains the hardware, the network, the physical access, upgrading any of that equipment, the physical space. Again, that's all managed by Converge in our data center, and then is typically provided to customers in a SaaS-based model. So you're paying for the service of accessing our software. In an on-premise solution, that physical space, the networking, the power, the cooling is provided by the utility themselves, and then the utility can either contract with us to maintain the software and the operating systems and all of the things necessary to run the software, or the utility can provide that service themselves. Still, in that case, the IntelliSource Express system is accessed by the utility and accessed by the end customers through the web, through a browser or through a mobile app.
Okay, Steve, thanks very much. Steve and I want to thank everybody for participating with us today, and we're going to turn this back over to PJ to close us out. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Cody, and thank you, Steve. Excellent presentation, very informative, and thanks for taking the time. For our audience, we hope you've enjoyed today's discussion.